Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs. You'll notice there's a smile on my face, and that's because what a performance yesterday. Ange Postecoglou has described it as the best we've had this season in terms of the way we attacked. 2-0 victory over Bournemouth in the Premier League that temporarily lifted us to first place until West Ham came in to ruin that with their insane victory over, last season's in-form team of Brighton. But yeah, for us, fantastic. We'll talk a bit about the players, how the game panned out, what I did like, what I didn't like, and just a couple of little concerns. So, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to support the video with a like and leave your comments below on anything that we talk about or anything that you want to talk about. The lineup stayed the same. So, Vicario in goal. We had Porro maintaining his place on the right with Destiny Udogie on the left, Romero and Van de Ven as your centre-backs. And then into midfield, Bazuma, Sarr and Maddison. And then the front three of Kulu, Richarlison and Sonny. Subs that were used in the game, Højbjerg and Perisic came on the 59th minute for Sarr and Richarlison. Lo Celso and Skippy came in on the 74th minute for Maddison and Bazuma. And then we had to bring Ben Davies on the 82nd minute for Destiny Udogie, who went down injured, or it appeared injured, under no pressure, just passing the ball back to Vicario, who went straight down to the floor. However, no need to worry, Postecoglou is confirmed, he's fine. He walked around the pitch, very much wanted to come back on, he should be fine for the next game. However, I've got every faith in Ben Davies anyway, to come in and cover. So, the game itself. What did I think? I thought we were very good. Some great patterns of play. My only slight concern is because the players are growing in confidence where we've been playing well, some of them were taking risks in a different way to a Postecoglou way. So what I mean is Postecoglou loves his players to pass, shift the ball around, run the opposition ragged, and then just hit them. What we were doing instead, we saw from Bazuma, it's great to see him growing in confidence and doing what he loves. He does like to glide past players, and I think at times he just ran into too many players. He turned himself into trouble a few times, and that annoyed me a little bit. Sometimes I just wanted him to shift the ball, but still, look, Bazuma has been a revelation this season, and I think a few of the other players were just holding onto the ball a little too long. But, this is much better than last season when the players were just holding on to it for ages, waiting for some movement for a pass. It's very much more free-flowing. Udogie seems to have a great relationship with pretty much anyone he plays with at the moment. His runs are just great. He reads the game really well. And for a 20-year-old that was brought in as a wing-back to come in as a full-back, but not just that, an inverted full-back, a position he hasn't played, he's just taken to it like a duck to water. I think part of the reason we struggled at times in the midfield has to go down to Bournemouth player Antoine Semenyo. Semenyo. Probably demolished that name, but I thought he was probably their best player. He was great. He was solid. He was breaking up our play. He got them back on the front foot. And the thing about Bournemouth, although they're struggling so far this season, I think they're going to be okay. They've got a pretty high press. They make teams work hard. The only thing they're really missing at the moment is creating that final chance and scoring goals. So, although on paper they're not the most difficult game we've had so far, they very much made us work the hardest. And I think this is probably why Postecoglou was saying he thinks it's the best we've played so far this season. We had less shots than some of the other games, but we worked really hard for it. We were put under pressure in the midfield and we still came out on top. So, let's talk about the players themselves in the game. So, Vicario in goal. Cool as you like, midway through the first half when under pressure, as his pass to Mickey Van de Ven started a swift attack that almost resulted in a goal. He made a great save from Ryan Christie shortly before half-time, but didn't really have too much to do after that. And when I say a great save, it wasn't a great save in the fact that he made the save, because I think he should have made the save. But what I liked about it was where he parried the ball to. He had very strong wrists in that moment, pushed it right out wide to the left. And that's what I loved about it. It was put into the right area. It's almost like he had a look round before the shot to see whether there was any Bournemouth attackers about. And a lot of people have been given early criticism because of the goals that were conceded in pre-season, which nearly all of them weren't his fault. They were all point-blank range and couldn't do much about it. What I like about him is he's not really had to use his feet too much in previous teams, but he seems very comfortable. He was very cool on the ball, I thought, yesterday, and playing little passes, actually making little runs past people in his box. So I'm very, very happy with Vicario. Looks good. Porro continued at right back. He put in a decent shift as he looked to contribute in the final third. The thing that he does well when he's carrying the ball, he's quite strong, makes decent runs. His defending is getting better. I don't really remember a moment where he was dribbled past as such. So, yep, happy for him in there. Moving into centre-back next to him. So there was Romero, contributed with some really, really well-timed headers and interventions and interceptions. Dealt well up against the power of Dominic Solanke. It was another display from one of our vice-captains as he led from the back. And I think that's the most important part. Vice-captain, I think it's given him a responsibility and maturity, and he can't just go doing these stupid things. There was a moment where we actually broke into attack where he made a pretty hefty challenge that set us back on the front foot. That it's one of them where if it's not given a foul, you don't complain too much, but if it had been given as a foul, you also wouldn't have complained too much. But, you know, I think he's making strides now. And that is probably because of the guy we're going to talk about next, with him next to him, Mickey van der Ven. Now, Romero seems to be playing a lot better when he's got someone next to him that he can trust and he doesn't have to help mop up mistakes of. So, yeah, under pressure on a handful of occasions, but he kept his cool. He passed out from the back to get Tottenham moving upfield. Very accomplished performance from Van der Ven. He had a couple of good tackles as well thrown in. I'm really impressed with him. He's taken to it really quickly. First game was a bit shaky. He was a little bit nervous at the start against Manchester United, but do you know what? This guy's going to do us good. And he's rapid. Absolutely rapid, and that will fill Romero with confidence. Now moving on to the left, one of my favourite players at the moment, Destiny Udogie. He looked to attack at every opportunity. He played his part with some really good defending up against Semenyo, who I said was Bournemouth's best player by a mile. Udogie showcased his best qualities for the second goal with a lovely run and link up with Son before picking out Kulusevski. The thing I liked most about the assist for the Kulusevski goal was the fact that he didn't give up. The ball was, from one angle, it did look like it might have gone out, but actually looking at it from the reverse angle, it was in by a yard or two. But what I loved about it is he just threw himself at the ball on the floor, still made something of it when other players might have given up, worried about pulling up where they're committing too much. And I wonder, yeah. No, it's all right. Gone from my mind, don't worry. But like, I just love him. I think he's full of energy. He's adapted to a position that we didn't bring him into play. Love everything about him. He does really well inside as well. So if Porro's going up, you'll find that because they're inverted fullbacks, what happens if one's pushing up, the other one actually comes inside to midfield. And I think Udogie's very comfortable in there. Very, very. So I'm really impressed. Moving into midfield, Yves Bissouma toyed with Bournemouth at times in the first half, notably Christie. And played his part in the midfield with some really good play. He almost gifted Bournemouth one prior to the break with a quick free kick that went wrong. He had to walk a tightrope after the break after picking up a booking and then was replaced for the final 15 minutes. But as I said, a few times I felt he just held onto the ball a little too long, ran himself into a little bit of traffic, and I just want to see him shift the ball a little bit quicker at times. But look, massive improvement on last season, and for the majority of the game he looked really good again. Now, Pat Manasseh, I really have to praise Paratici for this one because he brought him in, exciting youngster. He was in a relegation battle when we sent him back out on loan, which definitely would have helped build him up as a player, give him a resilience. And, you know, Tottenham's opener, the pass from this guy, absolutely superb. Picking out Maddison's really well-timed run. The pass was beautiful, glided so delicately in a way that when Maddison hit the ball, he didn't have to break his run. He just had to glance it across goal. It was honestly, I can watch it back. I have watched it back from so many angles, and he just picks out that pass so well. But apart from that as well, he's got great energy. That's why Postecoglou loves him. He just runs himself into the ground for the team, and it's really hard for the opposition to have a player that will run for the full 90 minutes non-stop. You can't let go of him for a second, because he's moving all the time when we've got the ball, but when we haven't got the ball, he's just chasing people. And then he made way on the hour mark as we look to, get some more control in the midfield. And that's partly because of the age of the squad. So last season, we had the third oldest average age in the Premier League. This season already, third youngest. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when we've had younger squads in the Premier League, we've performed better. And I think that's purely, like we did it under Pochettino, we had a very young squad. It was the youngest at times. And I think it's down to the fact they have so much more energy. They can just keep running. They can be a bit more relentless. And then you have to have the knowledge as a manager to balance that with some experience, but also know when to make your substitutions. And that's exactly what Ange did in this game. So really happy with Sarr. Maddison, seems like an absolute snippet of a price now, doesn't it? He started the game following the injury scare with the protective boot. I actually thought he was going to start on the bench and Lo Celso was going to start as a precaution, but turns out he didn't need to. He missed a golden opportunity from close range to give us the lead after 15 minutes, but he made no mistake seconds later, as I said, with that goal from the Pat Matasar, beautiful ball. He was running the show for us, he really was. And what I liked about this game is he's getting further and further up the pitch. I felt in the first two games he's sat a little bit deeper. He has joined the attack, but he's mostly been starting the attacks and not helping finish them. In this game, he was really growing in confidence. I can see the Maddison that is going to be sublime for us this season. It was just fantastic to watch. The link-up play, the way he controls the ball. He's hard to get the ball off. He's unpredictable. Is he going to pass it? Is he going to cross it? Is he going to shoot? Is he going to ghost past you? Like, what an exciting player. And then he was, what can I say? I just love him. Superb performance. He's everything we've been looking for seasons now. Right, moving on to the front three before I fall in love with Maddison too much. Kulusevski. On the fringe of the action in the first half, he saw very little of the ball. Not always down to his fault, we just hadn't moved it out there a lot. But he was there when it mattered after the break, when he nipped in front after Udogie kept that ball in and, scored a goal. A little bit like Maddison's, but from the other side. It wasn't like a clean hit, but it doesn't matter as long as it ends up in the back of the net. I still think we're waiting for Kulusevski to get back to the heights that we saw. However, I think it's partly down to the Postecoglou system. It's not quite the same as he was playing before, so it's all about adaptation, and he's still very young. He's got time to grow, but he played his part in the game. Now, Sonny caused Bournemouth a few problems in the first half, and he had his say in the second goal as well. He picked out the pass for Udogie. But I haven't seen the Sonny I want yet. And again, with Kulusevski, I think it's down to the system. The way they're having to play is a little bit different. They're adjusting to it. But, he's very much, as a captain, I think it's given him a bit more responsibility. I think that's affecting his game a little bit. But as long as we're winning, I don't really care. But he's doing okay. Now, moving on to the subs. Højbjerg, introduced on the hour mark. He helped us gain more control in midfield. As Bournemouth kind of grew into the contest, he did exactly what we needed of him. He broke up play. He toughened the challenge. Everything you expect from Højbjerg to get us over the game. Good experience. Did his job. Then Perisic. Really impressed with Perisic this season. It's much better seeing him not have to run around and defend. It clearly works better for him. Played his part in our second goal after coming on when he was linking up with Udogie. And then once again, he had an impact. And it's great to see. I hope he's enjoying his time at the moment. Obviously, he'll want to play more minutes because that's the kind of guy he is. But 34 years old, the way he's playing, and I think the system suits him. It's very simplified, especially with someone like Udogie with loads of energy overlapping all the time. A lot of the passes Perisic is making to link up are actually very low effort and just clever little flicks to the outside of the boot and just quick one-touch passing. It almost looks lazy watching him do it, but it's not. It's just because players around him are making it very easy, and Perisic is a very, very good player. Giovanni Lo Celso handed his first minutes of the season, but unfortunately he didn't really have too much impact in attack. I think at times he was trying too hard. So I don't blame him for that, because he's trying to prove that he deserves a spot in this team. A difficult one. I'd have liked to have seen him come on earlier and have a proper chance to grow into the game. Then Skippy on for Bazuma, for the final closing stages. He impressed on the ball with some passing and decent movement. He's very much going to be that kind of player. Him and the others, they're just going to be rotated. And then Ben Davies, as I said, came on just to cover for Udogie for what we thought was an injury, and did okay. So look, that's the players. I'm just really happy, really, really happy. I think the most thing that I'm excited about is just the way we play. It's one of them where even if we lose, it's not going to hurt as much as last season, because we're playing positive football and we're trying. The players look like they care. I didn't talk about Richarlison, did I? Oh, let's go back and talk about Richarlison. Leading the line for us once again. Should have done better 10 minutes before half-time. Well, I say that. Let's ignore that comment for the second. We'll talk about that in a minute. He hit the side netting with a header moments after this so-called chance. Impressed with his build-up play in the first half, actually. I thought he was doing really well, linking up. And as I was saying, you could hear Ange shouting at him like, Richie pass, but he was listening in the first half and he was doing well. But that chance that he didn't score, I think, played on his mind. And like part of his build-up play in the first half, he had a lovely flicked header to Kulusevski. But his performance after the break was just really, really frustrating. He picked up a needless yellow card when he lost the ball. The ball was played through to him and he kind of trod on the ball, fell over, then kicked out at a player. There was another moment where we were on the break and it looked like he was going to drive really well. We had 4 options to pass to, went for the most difficult option and kicked the ball straight into a Bournemouth player. He desperately needs a goal to come his way. And all I would say to Postecoglou is just stick by him, give him the minutes. I hope he starts the game up top in the cup against Fulham. And I'd probably give him the next 2 games as well, in the hope that we can build him up. And the shame is, he's exactly the sort of player we would want to play in the North London derby, because he's aggressive, he's nasty, he runs people around. He definitely knows what a derby means. So I think even if he's not scoring the goals, I think the Arsenal game is probably the one that you definitely have to play him for, because just his nastiness will frustrate Arsenal and will help get us on the front foot. But what I will say is there are a lot of fans at the moment getting on his back. In fact, the reason I didn't do a video after the game is because I was actually out. I was at a family do, and then I went on a night out with one of my mates. We were in a pool hall playing American pool, and there was a guy next to us that was watching the highlights, and he was just saying, Richarlison's this, he's that, he's rubbish. I'm like, he's not. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Spurs fans that don't know what they're talking about with a Postecoglou system. I've said it a few times and I will reiterate it again for those of you that do not understand. The striker does not have to score goals, right? Traditionally, we associate strikers with goals. With Postecoglou, the striker is somebody that is just there to frustrate, hold up, link play, run the defenders ragged, move them about, frustrate. He's essentially a horse that is to be flogged and run around. And even though I said Harry Kane would have scored a lot of goals playing for Postecoglou, he didn't actually suit the role of the man in the middle. If Richarlison sits in there all season and does not score a single goal, but we win the majority of our games and we finish in the top 4, he's done his job. He's played his part within the team and helped us. And in the first half, the link-up play was good. The fans need to get off his back. We've seen this a million times before, and I'm not the only person that's sitting on social media and YouTube saying this. Others are as well. The guys from We Are Tottenham TV, they're exactly right in what they're saying, and I'm going to back them on this as well. Moussa Sissoko, we gave him a very, very hard time, and then in the end, he ended up being really pivotal in a Champions League run for us. scored a couple of goals, like scored 2 games in a row as well. One of the goals was absolutely brilliant. Emerson Royale, probably the most recent one, got a really hard time. Fans booing him, wanting him out the club, and he's become a fan favourite, even though he's not playing as regularly at the moment because Porro's doing okay. It does not help the players if you are jeering them, booing them, getting on their backs. Richarlison is somebody we know that is very emotional. And if he feels the crowd are getting on his back, his own fans, that's going to affect him more. He needs confidence. He needs a goal. You see him play for Brazil. So for anyone out there that's saying he's rubbish, watch him play for Brazil. He's not rubbish. He can do it. He's very much a confidence player. He'll score a Premier League goal that will boost his confidence. If the fans just get behind him, cheer his name, give him that psychological edge of thinking, hang on a minute, it's not clicking for me at the moment, but the fans are willing me on. That might just be enough. And I know people will sit there and go, they're paid over 100 grand a week. They should be playing better. That's great. But it doesn't matter how much you pay somebody, they are still human beings. They still feed off positive reinforcement reactions. You can't pay someone like 100 and something grand a week and just, boom, expect them to be a robot. They're paid the money because they're great footballers. You don't pay them the money because of their personality. You know, you can't help the fact that some players are just a little more emotional. He very much is. Everton fans told us this before he came to us, and the Watford fans had told the Everton fans. It's very much just the kind of player he is. So get off his back, get behind him, and support our players. He is wearing a Spurs shirt, you know? Yes, as fans, we have a right to criticise and talk about things. Do it after the game. Don't do it during the game. Don't get on his back. There were fans in the stands calling for him to be taken off. It wasn't loud enough, or there was a few boos. It wasn't loud enough for it to be picked up on TV. But I'm telling you, if the players feel that on the pitch, they ain't going to put the shift in. They're going to get down, and he very much is a sulky player. But when he's playing well, he's very frustrating and he's very good. So please, please, please get behind him, and hopefully it will happen. If not, we'll end up seeing Sonny come inside to replace him, or unless we sign a striker. So look, that's pretty much it for this video. Really happy with the way we played, happy with the way things are going. Postecoglou, great, talks well. He's brilliant on the bench. He's very immersed in the game. He doesn't let really anyone talk to him throughout the game. He just visualizes, sees things going on, and makes his decisions from there. He almost uses it as like a movie. It's just him watching the TV, staring at the players, seeing how the game's panning out. His mind's working, then he picks the moment to make the subs. Perfect timing with the subs. We controlled the game. The experience coming in was great. I'm really happy with the way things are going, and we're not even at a third of the level we'll be playing at. So once it really clicks for everyone, and if Richarlison starts scoring goals, whoo, this team's going to be dangerous. You know, we, after 3 games, are joint on points at the top of the Premier League for a reason. And that is Postecoglou. The fans have bought in, the players have bought in, and I think this is part of it as well. Because the fans have got such a positive attitude at the moment, it's reflecting on the rest of the team, and they want to put the effort in. So look, for me, it's only going to get better. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video and talking about that. Leave your comments about anything you want to talk about, any of the players. Talk to me about Richarlison. What are your thoughts? You know, what do you think is going wrong? What do you think he needs? But I just think at the moment, you have to stick by him and he will come good. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. And until next time, come on you Spurs.